Hello everyone. We're going to do the difference quotient. This is something that is going to be on module 3. This is the college level. And I want to explain what this is, right? This is a formula that I want you to remember. Just like when you were required to remember the slope formula. The slope formula and this particular formula, the difference quotient formula, are very related. They're like cousins in the same family. So the first thing is notice that the first part of this formula has this. Okay, so we're going to compute this first. Then we're going to compute the entire numerator step by step. Okay, that will be the second step. And the third step is actually dividing by h, which is the formula basically. So once you have computed step one and the first two steps, the last step is to divide everything by h. And I'm going to walk you through it, through the whole process. Okay. All right. So what you need to do is that you need to remember this formula. Write it a few times so that you know it. Now, this example that you're looking at, the instructions will be find the difference quotient of this function, whatever that may be, right? Notice that this is it's a quadratic function. I hope that by now you should know that the graph of this function is a parabola facing down. I'm not going to go into details. This is something we already talked about it. You should know that. Then we're going to do this one. Okay. We're going to do two examples. We're going to do one that is kind of hard. This one requires a lot of work. This one is easy. So I'm going to start with the easy one first. Okay. So they're going to say the instruction and knowledge will be compute the difference quotient, and then you will be provided a function. You don't have to come up with a function. It will be provided for you. So again, first thing I'm going to do step one, this step. Notice that inside the parentheses, I have h, x plus h. So I'm going to compute that. Step one, f, actually, I'm going to do it here. This is the easy one. We'll get to that one, but let's do this one first. So that way you can gain some confidence. So what does that mean? Well, back in the days when you were asked to evaluate a function, and let's say that you were given f of 3. Well, what did you do then? Well, you took the 3 and you replaced all the x's with it, and you computed it and you got a number back. That's what you did. This time, you're not evaluating it at a number. You're actually evaluating it at x plus h. So we're going to do exactly the same process. The difference is that this time it's not a number, it's an expression. And that expression happens to be x plus h plus 1. So I'm going to simplify this a little bit. And I get this. You see, that's it. This one here, step 1. Step 2. What is step 2? Step 2, now I'm going to do the entire numerator. Now, if you notice, in step 2, it contains what I already did in step 1. This part is already done. I did it here. So now I'm just going to subtract it by f of x. So here I go. I'm going to do f of x plus h, which I already did. It's all of this minus f of x. All right, so what is that equals to? So this part, I'm just going to rewrite it. Same thing that I have above, I'm just going to rewrite it here. 3x plus 3h. I'm sorry about that. It's a little bit messy. Let me see here. Plus 3h plus 1. That's what I did first. Okay, that came from here minus f of x. Now I'm going to open up parentheses. And what is my f of x? Well, my f of x is this one. This is my f of x. So I'm going to write it here. Plus 1. You see? That is step 2. Now I'm going to distribute this negative throughout, and then I'm going to combine like terms. Okay? So I'm going to rewrite this 3x plus 3h plus 1 minus 3x minus 1. Why did I get that? Well, negative times positive is negative. Negative times positive here, you get negative 1. At this point, notice that 3x and negative 3x cancels. Also cancels 1, take away 1, cancels this one. So what's left after all of this? All is left is 3h. Okay, that's what's left here. But I'm not done, because now I have to do step 3, which is the entire thing. But by the time that you get here, you would have done this part. This part is already done. You did it here. And then the only thing new is that I'm going to finally divide by h. So let's do that. I'm going to rewrite it again. It will be wise to keep writing this again and again and again until you get used to it. So what is my numerator? All of this. That came out to be equals to 3h. Now I'm going to divide by h. So notice that the h gives you 1. Some people say that it cancels, but in reality, h over h is actually 1. 1 times 3, what's left is just 3. This is your answer. Okay? That's your answer. Which is the same thing if I would have asked you to find the slope of this line. I hope that you know that the graph of f of x in this example, 3x plus 1, happens to be the graph of a line. And the slope of that line happens to be 3, which is also here in this case the difference quotient. Remember at the beginning of the video, I said that this formula is cousins with this formula. They're the same family. This is the slope. Okay? I'm not saying that they're the same. I'm saying that they're related. And here's an example where you can see the relationship. Even though I computed, in this example, I computed the difference quotient, I ended up with 3. Well, what's the slope of this line? 3. You see that? Okay. So this here is what I will label an easy example. This is going to take a lot of practice. And you can ask me questions in the classroom. You can go to the tutoring center, D105, and we're there to help you. Now, let me do the one that is difficult. This one takes a lot of work. Takes a lot of work. So it might take me 2 frames or 2 pages, whatever they call this, pages. So we'll just do that. So here we go. First step is this step. Now, the reason why this is difficult is because of the x squared that you see there. Remember this example, the f of x happens to be all of this. So what am I going to do with this x plus h? I'm going to replace it in here. I'm going to square it. Then I'm going to replace it here. And then distribute the negative 3 combined like terms. It's a very messy. So again, relax. This will take a lot of work. I'm telling you ahead of time. So it is what it is. Here we go. You see? That's my first step. Now, looking back at this example, the one that we just did, in this case, look what happened here. You see? There was no x squared here. This one is y, it's because I said this is easy because of that. A lot easier, you will see. All right, so what do we do from here? Well, it's a lot of work. And I'm going to work this out very slowly. I'm going to compute this first. Square. What does that mean? I'm doing this one here. I'm going to do this separately so you can see where we get what we get from that. So this will be this thing twice. Okay, that's what that means. The base in this case is x plus h and the exponent is square. That means that I'm going to multiply the base twice by itself. Okay, I'm going to distribute this. And here I go. X squared plus xh plus another xh plus h squared. Remember, xh is the same thing as hx, same thing. So that means that when I combine like terms, I have two of them. 1 plus 1 equals 2 of them plus h squared. Okay, so again, look how much work you have to do in this one. Now on the test, I'm not going to give you an example where you would have some x cubed. So imagine that. That would be more work. So you might get one of this example just like the one I'm doing now. But I'm not going to give you one that says x cubed because then it's going to take you too much time on the test. So it's not wise to do that. So this is what I get here. And this is probably the most difficult step in this particular exercise. Okay. Again, as you watch these videos, you can pause, you can take notes. But one thing you cannot do is give up. Keep working. Trust me, when I learned this, when I was before you guys were born, okay, I was doing this. And it took me a lot of work, but I got it done. All right, so what do I do next? Well. Guys, I'm gonna erase this frame because I'm going to need it, okay? You can go back in the video, you can watch it again, but I need it, so I'm gonna clear this frame. All right. So now I'm going to take this and rewrite it on my other page. Now remember, what step am I going to do that now? This step. I'm going to do this step, step B, the second step. I already did the first step. That was the most difficult part. So now I'm going to use it here. I'm going to use that information that I got on step 1, and I'm going to use it when I'm doing step 2. And the only new thing is that I'm going to subtract f of x right here. All right, here I go. So keep this in mind. So I'm going to rewrite on the other frame, I'm going to write x squared plus 2xh plus h. All right, so here I go. And by the way, notice that I have not taken this -3 into account. Okay, that's a problem, guys. That's a big problem that I didn't do that. Okay, and I'm glad I did that mistake so you can see the mistake that I made. Okay, so that's a mistake. In essence, what happened was that I only computed, what did I compute it? Only this part. This little part is what created all this mess down here. I haven't done the -3. I haven't done this guy here. I haven't touched it. I haven't touched the 6, nothing. So you can see how difficult this is, but it's doable. It's just that it needs organization. You need to do it slowly, and you better take good notes, okay? So now I'm going to do this. I'm going to rewrite this here. You see? I'm doing this right here. I'm going to do this here. I'm going to expand it, okay? So why? Because I already know what this is. This here is this part. That's the most difficult part. Okay, so now I'm going to do this. X squared plus 2xh plus h squared, close parentheses, okay, minus what? Minus 3x times x plus h plus the 6. So this is where we used to have an x squared. We expanded it already, and that's what we get. Here, we used to have an x. Now we have x plus h. So now we're ready to multiply the negative 3 throughout. So here I go. I'm gonna have negative 3x squared minus 6xh minus 3x h squared, sorry. Then I do the same here. Negative 3x, negative 3h plus 6. So my first step is done. All of this is done, and that created, look how much work it created. Okay, look how much work it created. Now I'm ready for my second step. And by the way, notice that at this step, there are no like terms to be combined. Nothing. 0. Okay. So now what do I do next? This is my first step. Second step. Well, the second step is the entire numerator. I'm going to rewrite it. Okay. There. I'm going to use two different colors. I'm going to use red for all of this. Oh my goodness, I don't know if I can fit all of that stuff, but let's see if I can do that. Negative 3x squared minus 6xh minus 3h squared minus 3x minus 3h plus 6 minus, boy. And I'm going to use blue to write, or light blue, whatever that is, to write the original function. What is the original function? Don't forget. This is my original function, okay? So I need to write that negative 3x squared. Oops, that became ugly. I'm gonna rewrite that. Square minus 3x plus 6. Close parenthesis. There you go. You see that? This is the moment where I want you to pause. There's no room for error here. No margin for error. This is where, at this point, the signs, multiplication of signs, negative, positive, all of that is already conquered, is already mastered. You cannot afford to make a mistake here. Okay? So now I'm going to simplify this stuff. But before I do that, once again, I'm going to rewrite all of this stuff. It's a lot of rewriting, guys. There's no shortcuts here. You have to do this way. Don't tell me, oh, my neighbor doesn't. No, I don't want to hear it, because it's not true. There are no shortcuts to this. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of rewriting. And if anybody thinks that they can do it faster or more efficient with shortcuts, good luck to you. All right. Okay. All I did was that I rewrote all of this stuff. I rewrote it there. Now I'm going to take care of this. Negative times negative is positive 3x squared. Negative times this negative, that becomes positive 3x. Negative times positive 6 is negative 6. Okay. Now this is where we get lucky and we get to eliminate some of these terms. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. They go away. So what's left? What's left here is negative 6xh minus 3h squared minus 3h. Everything else was canceled out. That's what I get after all this work. That's what I get. Okay. Let me go back here and let me emphasize the importance of doing this step correctly. This is the step where we got all of this stuff. This is where we got x squared plus xh plus h squared. Please do it patiently. Please use a lot of paper so that you can write nicely. There's pages that you can go back and see. It just, you made a mistake somewhere. It's a lot easier if you do that. All right, what do we do next? The last step. The last step is when I finally divide by h. Notice that I have not divided by h so far. So don't you go dividing by h before you get to the last step. All right. All right. So my step will be, this will be equals to, I'm going to maximize my space here. This will be this step that I want. That's what I have. Divided by h. So here it comes. Divided by h. So now this is where I need to simplify. Okay. That's what I need to work on. Everything else at this point, it was already done. That's where I am now. I want you to look at every term in the numerator. That is negative 6xh minus 3h squared minus 3h. My question to you is, what is the common factor of the numerator? And as you can see, in each term, there's an h contained. So that's the common factor. So we're going to factor out the h. So I'm going to do this in what color? Let's see, we can do green. So I'm going to do this here. I'm going to factor out the h, and I'm going to have left this term because I factor out the h. Then here, the second term is negative 3h squared, but I'm going to factor one of them out. So now what's left is going to be negative 3h. And then here, I'm going to factor this guy out, and what's left is only negative 3, close parentheses, divided by h. So this is when and only you can get rid of the h. H divided by h is equals to 1. Again, some people say it cancels out, but in reality, mathematically speaking, what you get is actually 1. And we don't write ones. It's a bunch, what would you write a 1 there? That makes no sense, right? There's no purpose of writing a 1 there. Now, so the question is, what is the answer after all this work? It took us 2 pages, 2 frames to get this done. So what is the answer? My answer, guys, is this. It's negative 6h minus 3h minus 3. That is it. That is my answer. All right. So again, guys, this will take a lot of work. There are no shortcuts. One of the challenges that you face in this type of exercises is that it requires a lot of steps. For instance, going back to this step, some people believe that this is the same. And let me tell you that it's not. This is wrong, okay? Bad. What you do is that you write the base twice, and then you start foiling, and then you combine like terms, and that's what you get, okay? All right, so I want you to work on those. Always review these videos, and you go from there. Now, the other topic that I want to do in this video is finding the sum differences products of 2 functions. All right, so we have 2 functions, right? And what they want us to do is not define the difference quotients anymore. Is simply do the following. They want us to do the following. It says, find the product, find the difference. Oops, sorry, a mistake. Not ready yet. That's the difference. And also they want us to evaluate this function at 2, but notice how they write it. Okay. So don't get freaked out by this. This is actually, it's not bad. So what does this mean? Let's do the first one, A, B, and C. Okay. So what does that mean? It means the product. So this means f of x times g of x. So what does that mean? Well, based on what I was providing here, f of x and g of x, then I just write them. 4x squared times 2x equals to, what is that equals to? Well, 4 times 2 is 8. X squared times x cubed. How did I get that? This is when you add exponents. Okay, that's it. This is what you get when you do the product. That's all you have to do. You don't have to do more. Now, what is it that they want us to do on part B? Part B says the difference. Well, what is that defined as? That's defined as f of x take away g of x. So how do you write that? Well, what is f of x? F of x is 4x squared minus, what is g of x? G of x in this example is 2x. That's it. There's nothing else to do. Nothing else. You don't have to do a single thing from here on. You're done with part B. Part C, notice that instead of an x, they have a 2 in there. So how do we do that? Very simple. This will be f of 2 plus g of 2. So what does that mean now? Well, we're back in module 1 and 2. What is f of 2? Well, you know that. You have to evaluate it at f. So that will be 4 times 2 squared plus, what is g of 2? G of 2 will be 2 times 2. And let's see what we get. By the way, let's do the easy one here. Is 4. What is 2 squared? That's 4. You see? So what do we get? We're going to get 16 plus 4, which is 20. You see? 20. That's all you get. So this is going to get some practice on getting used to, but it's not the end of the world. But it does matter how you write it. Don't be sloppy, guys. And by the way, there's a lot of people in the classroom that I have to say, they have such a beautiful handwriting. They take good notes. And I love to see that because that tells me how their brains are organizedly operating in a very, very efficient way. And I love to see that. So for the rest of you, please do the same. Be organized when you write this, and that way you minimize making mistakes. Going back to part B. Well, like I said, there's nothing to do. That's it. You cannot combine any like terms. All right, let's do another one. Same thing here, guys. Notice the only difference is I have two different functions with different names. And by the way, I should fix this. They should have different names. Let's call it, I don't know, what do we call it? Let's see, what can we call it here? Let's call it S, right? So, and what is it that they want us to do? They want us to do this. They want us to do this. S subtract R. Let's do that first. Okay. So how do we write this, guys? How do we write this? Well, this, notice that the S is first and then the R. So we're going to write S of X take away R of X. That is my first step. Please do that. Do not jump to conclusions. Do not jump. Don't try to do this in shortcuts. Shortcuts doesn't get you too far. So what do we do next? Well, what is S of X? Well, S of X is 2x squared minus, what is R of X? R of X is x cubed. And you're done. You're done. Now, if they want you to write this in descending order, then you will do the following. So read the instructions. These two answers are identical the same. The only difference is that now, the way that I wrote this function is in descending order. My highest degree is 3, and then the lowest degree follows, which is 2. So it's in descending order, okay? But either way you write it is okay, and Alex should accept it that way also. What is part B? Part B, let me see what they want. Oh, they want the product. That's easy. That's S multiply times R. Now, for some reason, guys, this is a habit of mine, is that when I do multiplication, I always like to write a little dot in the middle. You may not see sometimes, you may not see it sometimes. They just write SR, that means multiplication, okay? So what is this defined as? This is defined as S of X times R of X. So let's do that. So this will be 2x squared times x cubed. So what is my answer there? Well, it will be 2x, and the question is, what is my new exponent? Well, we have the same base, we're multiplying. That implies that I'm going to add the exponents. 2 plus 3 is 5. And you're done. That's all you have to do. Part C. Part C is, let's see, what is it that they want us to do? Okay, they want us to do the following. S plus R evaluated at -2. Okay, similar to what we did here. You see, here was F plus G evaluated at 2. So this is S plus R evaluated at -2. First thing you do is that you have to write it as like this: S evaluated at 2 plus R evaluated at -2. I think I said 2, but it's actually -2. Okay. All right. So what do we do now? So, well, this will be 2 times 2 squared. That's what this is. From here. Okay. Plus R of -2. Well, that will be -2 cubed, because my R function is this one. You see? All right, so this is just a matter of computing this. So what is -2 squared? -2 squared, notice that I'm using a parenthesis, actually 4, not equals to -4. Be careful with that, okay? So that's 2 times 4. What about -2 cubed? -2 cubed is actually -8. So this will be -8. So now you have 8 minus 8, and the answer is 0. That's all you have to do, guys. So now I've given you 4 examples of just 2 different topics. And I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to continue to make this video so that you have them at your disposal, and you can watch them, rewatch them, and take notes as you do so. All right, and we'll talk later. Bye-bye.